You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show family. Thanks for sticking in there with us. You have Sir Charles.
Miss Max.
A.A. Ron.
In the building. We do have a returning guest here with us. She is an artist. She is a black female. She is an activist. So many titles, and she's a friend of ours.
That's right.
I don't know if she agrees, but that may be one of the most important titles. But we have none other than artist Miss Lisa Beane. Lisa, how are you?
I am doing fantastic, and yes, I consider you guys my friends. And you were the first person I called when I was dealing with this PVCC exhibition that we're going to talk about with the censorship, and I was like, okay, I gotta call Charles, because it was just that moment where I knew that's a support that I know is there, and it's it's support for the people. But yes, I'm doing great. Yeah,
good. Well, we definitely appreciate you. You always have a home here because we love being being about the business of our people. So so like I said, you were a guest. Absolutely, you were a guest of ours previously, and but for those who may have missed that, or for those who may not have went over to the Jefferson, and that may ring a bell for some folks. You had an exhibit over at the Jefferson African American Heritage Center.
Yep.
So just go ahead and let people know, who, or what Lisa Beane art is about.
Well, that show, what we did last year at the Jefferson Center, I did that with Andrea Douglas, and she curated it, and it was this came right after the death of the young lady last year with the white supremacists. And so when I did this show last year, there was a catalog that was created, and it was all about more of the work that I've been doing for a long time, but I added more pieces, created more pieces just for this particular incident. And it was everything that I've been talking about is how history doesn't seem to stop, go forward. As much as things have changed, my work is talking about, look at the truth, look at it in your face. We have to start realizing that we cannot live a lie. And the injustice of minorities, black people, brown people, Asian people, Hispanic people, women, black men. It's this long list that doesn't make sense. And so when I do my work, my painting, I'm always giving it to you to see, no, we can't keep doing this. You're going to have to look at it. You got to go find some truth in there, because we're all in every single painting. So this show at the PVCC, they asked me last year if I would do it, and I did not want to do it because I had already done it. I don't do repeat shows. But they asked, and I said no at first, and then my manager, Rudy Arias, he kept pushing me, and I said, okay, fine, I'll do it.
So this show, is this got you. Now, is this already on display, or when are the dates that this exhibit is live at PVC?
The exhibit is the 21st of this month, and the reason why I finally caved was because they're going to have this exhibit in a hallway that leads to the voting booths. So you've seen my work, and so all this work is going to be in that hallway where people are standing online to go in and vote. And that's why I said, okay, because my thing is, I want my work to influence people to make a change, to make a positive change, and to look at the past. And so when they asked me to do the show, they said they didn't have a budget. I told them, okay, I'll eat it, and I'll just get it all there to you. And then all of a sudden, they told me I couldn't hang the Robert E. Lee piece. And
now, so for those who have not seen or not familiar with that Robert E. Lee piece, can you describe it for us real quick?
Oh yes. So that's the piece where I have Robert E. Lee, and it looks like an advertisement for cake mix. And I have ingredients of cake mix, but it's really talking about the ingredients of greed and money and racism. And then on the left side next to him are three chimpanzees who hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. And then Robert E. Lee says, something like, I had no idea. As a privileged ape, I had no idea. And it's called cheat cake because it's a combination of when the SNL Saturday Night Live did a skit and calling it the cheat cake. But excuse me, but actually it's like a mixture, how to mix. You take the mix, you mix it up, and that's how you create a privileged ape. And the reason why the original title was going to be called Privileged Ape because of the white privilege, but we all come from the ape family. But they made Andrea last year asked me not to use that as a title because it was too fresh. And so now this time asking me not to hang it, it's, I'm just getting to a point, okay, you can look at my other paintings where I have images of black men hanging from trees. And that doesn't bother you. But it bothers you that I do a painting just showing Robert E. Lee saying that as a privileged ape, I had no idea.
So what was the reason? What was the explanation for having you withdraw that from the exhibit?
They said that, well, first, I think it's called Sons of the Confederacy, they applied for a permit to protest the show, and they got it. And then there were death threats that went to the school, I guess through emails or whatever, and phone calls. And so that's why they said they wanted to pull it, but they used that image when they first promoted it.
So now I heard you talk about the election ballot hallway. Now, did they express any significance to that, as far as if there was a reason of thinking that it would sway voters, in a way to where they are legally obliged to keep it neutral? Is that something to do with it, or?
Well, when the young lady who is curating it, she still has the idea that this is a great thing because she felt it's important for the times and to get young people and people to come and look and realize there is something that is being said here and we have to do our part. But then she got pushed back from the president. It's the president of the school who's making that call. But she can't fight it because it's her job. She's got to keep her job.
Right.
So that's why it was originally that. She felt it was important since it was this time for people to go vote. And
family, we're talking to Lisa Beane of LisaBeaneArt.com once again. Starting September 21st, she's going to have an exhibit over at Piedmont, Virginia Community College, and she's sharing some of the insight that maybe we didn't know about. Regarding some of the pushback she's been getting, even after being invited to share this exhibit. Lisa, I have to ask you: is there any particular action that you would like the community to take as far as being an advocate for you, in support, or do you just want the chips to fall where they may, or where does your relationship stand right now?
I think what's important is because the most important thing for me, again, is that people, get to see this show. They should go see this show. And if they don't want to hang the Robert E. Lee, I'm not sure if that's still going to be final because the Thomas Jefferson Freedom, what's the full title? Thomas Jefferson Freedom. I have to look at it because I don't want to give the wrong title.
Okay.
But they're like an ACLU for freedom of expression. And so they found out, they spoke to my manager last week, I think on Friday or Thursday, and they said they want to call the school and see, because this has been an issue with PVCC before, but not like this. And so what I want people to understand is, understand that we are America, and we do have freedom. And right now what's happening is we have to be aware that they chip from the bottom, work their way up, and eventually you have no freedom. And it can happen. And that's why people have to vote. And I can't emphasize enough that every vote counts. Despite what people think with Russia, I don't care. If we go out there and make sure people have cars that drive people who can't get there, do what you have to do, but we have to vote. And I think people should complain to the school that they're censoring my work, because why would you do that? You invited me.
Right.
And now you're telling me what I can hang?
Right. All right, Lisa,
So
we're going to take a...
I think people have to fight for their constitutional right And that's when you speak up, because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody else. Next thing you know, somebody's going to tell you what you can hang in your, what kind of sign you can put in your driveway.
Right.
Or your yard.
Right there, Lisa, we're going to put a pin in it right there. We're going to take a quick break. Again, family, you're tuned into In My Humble Opinion on 101.3 Jams. We're speaking with the artist, Lisa Beane. We'll have more of her after this.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
All right, family, we're back. You're tuned in to In My Humble Opinion. You got Miss Max or Charles, Aaron.
Aaron is my name.
And we are speaking with the artist Lisa Beane. Lisa is, for those of you who are just catching up, she has an art exhibition that will be on display here at PVCC later this month. And they're censoring her work. And so...
Speak out, people. Speak your mind.
I'm just, as a student of PVCC, it surprises me. It takes me aback a little. It doesn't surprise me that educational institutions are stifling, like constitutional rights to freedom to express yourself and things like that. Like, of all places, that's their thing. Like, that's what you come there to do, and then to still
press your mind, right?
Yeah.
Question thing.
Yeah. So it's surprising, and I'd like to be able to extend the invitation for PVCC to come on the show and see what their answers are. Like, why they made this decision, how they justify it. So,
and Max, I would even say anybody who wants to maybe voice their opinion or concern to definitely reach out directly. Don't even wait for them to respond.
Yeah. So I know that Aaron has a question for you, Lisa.
Miss Beane, Aaron, just love your work. I went to the exhibit last year at the Jefferson, and there was a piece I wanted to ask you specifically about. And it was the They Don't Have Statues of Hitler piece. And there, in that picture and in that art, which I found astounding, I just wanted to get some context. It looks like there is a white child doing the Hail Hitler sign. Is that correct?
Okay, the statue. Okay, so that piece that you're talking about, that one is actually, and that is a white child doing Heil Hitler, and that one is called Postcard to My Father.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and yes, and I don't know if you remember, but in that painting there are two boys, one on the left on the bottom and one on the right.
Right.
They haven't been influenced yet, but this one he has, and that's why I put him in like a cartoon from Disney.
Interesting. And then my second question was, and I know you spoke about this earlier, about the specific pieces that they didn't want you to hang. Are there any pieces that, not out, and I think the word surprise would be inaccurate, but are there pieces that they're going to allow that people should really pay specific attention to during this exhibit?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to say which one in particular. I think the ones that have the stamps of the lynched men hanging from trees, on postcards, and then you have the one. There's one that has Trump he's like in a pumpkin bubble. That one, which is also, I think that one is called the Orange Emperor, and is without clothes with his Twitter Jesus, and then the chaos. But they all say something, especially the postcards. Those are the ones that were very successful in Germany, but we brought them back for the show last year, and I may be taking them back to Germany because they really appreciate it. But I think when people read the pieces, they have to take the time and stand and look. I'm hoping that they will hang my explanations next to the pieces, because it does help people sometimes, and I think I don't normally do that, but for this period in our history, I think it's necessary.
Hey, Lisa, something you just said, I wanted you to elaborate on, make sure nobody missed that. So your statement you just made was that they appreciate it more in Germany. So I'm curious, like when you look at your activism through art in different countries, particularly Germany, where Hitler actually was, compared to in America. And what's your opinion on that, as far as the way that we sort of mainstream view things versus a place like Germany where Hitler actually was?
Well, Germany, first of all, they are confused. They are baffled. They cannot, all of my friends there, they cannot figure out how we still have these issues. There's not one country that's perfect. There are always people who are going to hate people in whatever country you live. But over there, you can't wear a swastika, Heil Hitler, none of that. You can go to jail.
Right.
And they feel, okay, we'll educate you in school and let you know what things happen, but we don't need a statue.
Right. You don't celebrate it.
Yeah. And that's why they can't understand our issues with the traitors. I mean, these Southerners were traitors, and they went to war with our country, and you made them into heroes, and they don't understand that.
Yeah. Now, is there a particular department that that invited you from Piedmont, that if somebody did want to, well, they wanted to voice, support, or if they wanted to, voice opposition, is there, like, are you allowed to relay that info of who exactly invited you, or what department? Who invited your exhibit?
I think they have an art department, but I really, truthfully, I really don't know the exact department. Okay. But I think people can call the Thomas Jefferson Center for the Protection of Free Expression. I found the correct name.
Got you. Okay.
They do listen to these complaints.
All right.
And I think the more complaints, the better, because, again, when I was talking to you on break, Charles, it was like, well, what stops somebody from telling your radio show what you can and cannot talk about?
Right.
Or who you can and can't have on your show.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's where this country is going. And we have to stop it.
Yeah, and so we're also curious, Lisa, about what really influenced your work. I'm not sure if you shared that with us. Like, was there any particular moment that you look back to and said, you know what, like, I'm going to use my voice through this paintbrush?
Truthfully, it all from when I was a little girl. My parents just always fed us this, you stand up for people, and my grandparents, same thing. And so I could never understand racism in general. I couldn't understand as a kid, oh, okay, you have to say this is black, my skin is black. Okay, well, my skin is brown, but okay, I'll accept black. But then I know a white friend who wants to get a suntan, but they're just tan. And you're darker than me. And that, when I was little, that always started spinning in my mind. And then, knowing about the KKK and the lynchings, and then just seeing, even being in Richmond as a kid and watching the news, a black man robbed a store. But then on the news, if it's a white guy who killed someone, a man killed a woman today. But it was always being fed to us that being black was a bad thing, and it was always unfair. If you just look at Serena Williams yesterday and how she went off on this referee at the tennis yesterday.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
It's those kind of things. And when I see, like with Kaepernick, that is what gets me so angry. And when I see what they do to the women and the men, and just stopping someone and saying, why are you in this neighborhood? It's just all of these things that I see, and I've always been, that's what influences me.
And I applaud you for it, because it takes people like you in order to move us ahead, You can't back down from it. You have to meet it face on.
I do my best, and I get a lot of pushback from people. People have,
which is not easy to do.
In my face about these things, but to me, you know what the problem is? You don't like the truth. That's why you don't like me. So if you don't like the truth, maybe you need to go hide in a corner. But I give you the truth, and that's it.
There you go. That's awesome. And Lisa, so speaking of which, I definitely wanted to get your input before we let you go regarding where we're at right now, and if there's any paintings that you have in the work, because I know that the Colin Kaepernick stance, so to speak, how it's so thrown, like off of his axis of what his original intention was. People have kind of made their own story out of it. So I'm curious about what's going on currently. Is it inspiring any new work? You got any Kaepernick paintings in the way?
Yeah. If you walked into my studio right now, you guys would be, what? The universe is just driving me crazy, and I have there's one that's really huge, and it's about the children, and it's about how we use society for money and greed, and it's a takeoff of Picasso's Guernica, and it blows my mind when I look at it, and it's not even halfway done. I'll send you images so you can see. But and then I have another one on guns, where this kid is with his father, and the father's teaching him how to shoot a rifle. But right in the middle is that I think it's that. What's that? Is it AK-47? The one where they use to shoot up people all the time.
AR-15, I believe.
AR-15.
Yeah. I got a lot. I got women's issues I'm dealing with. Go spank your wife. It's a lot. So I'll make sure you guys get to see it. I don't think you ever come to LA though, do you?
I'll be in LA.
Are you coming to LA?
Look, now that you told me you're going to show me some pictures, I'll be in LA.
If there's ever reason to be there, we'll be there.
We'll make a little video. But
that's all good.
I would love you to come, because when you walk in, the energy in this studio, when people come, they're just like, oh my God. I always say it's the little elves that are living there, and they just keep the energy flowing. But I have to go to Germany on Friday. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm not going to be, because I have a gallery in Italy that are looking at me, and I have a new gallery in Germany.
Nice.
So
yeah. So Lisa, in closing, just let the people know, those dates again, where they can see your exhibit locally, and just any closing words for the people when on their way to see your work.
Well, the PVCC, that is 21 September. I believe it starts at 7. Mm-hmm. But the most important thing, and I do want them to go see the work, but I also want them to start thinking about their rights of free expression, and that's why reaching out to the Thomas Jefferson Center for the Protection of Free Expression in Charlottesville is a great place to start. And they can write to the newspaper, they can talk about it in church, they can complain to the school. Mm-hmm. But I just feel that people have to understand we have to stand up, because if we don't, it does become another Germany. Mm-hmm. That's how it all started.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
We have to take care of each other. And I love you guys. And thank you so much for doing this. And I'll see you when I come back.
Hey, Lisa, make sure you give people the website so they can look at the work.
The website is Lisa Beane Art. So it's LISAB as in boy, EAN as in Nancy, art.com.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, and so you guys are coming to LA.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be in touch. Yep.
Okay.
All right, Matt.
All right.
Thank you so much. Big hug.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
All right, family. Again, we were speaking with Lisa Beane. Love catching up with her. Unfortunate circumstances she's dealing with. Mm-hmm. And, people, everyone is just so afraid they forget about right and wrong, and then they buckle under the pressure of, the powers that be or the majority. And we got to learn to take a stance. We got to be able to have a backbone and take a stance. There's right and there's wrong. And you can't stifle someone's freedom of expression because somebody else might say something. It all works together.
Integrity.